We are starting soon.
It is Friday night, and welcome to the Album Book Club. Tonight, we will be reviewing the Cincinnati Silver Stars. Album is Suitcase, and it is a calypso version of the Midwest.
Carson is out this week. We got moved the couches around a little bit.
We got Logan filling in for Carson, Chad filling in for Logan. It's a whole spectacle this week, y'all.
I should have scooted over. Then it would have been just completely screwed.
All right, we want to get started?
We are ready to start.
Oh, took it away. All right. Starting off with our top three. What do you got?
My top three songs in order on this album started out with Walk It, Gangland, and Down the Road. I think the three songs fit the album's theme perfectly, and if the album only had three songs, and those were the three, you would get the exact same impression as you do listening to the whole thing. Loved them.
My top three were Bang the Drum, Step Inside, and Walk It.
Mine were Bang the Drum, Galang, and Down the Road.
Yeah, I had Walk It, Bang the Drums, and Galang.
Right.
Sounds like Galang was pretty popular.
Bottom song?
My bottom song is Typical Beach Day for a couple of reasons, but it definitely did not sum up my typical beach day.
We'll get into it. I have a note about that. Yeah, my bottom song was Down the Road.
Mine was Mantra.
Mine was Step Inside. It's a pretty split bottom song. Not one single repeat.
All right. Let's move into the first track.
What's Galen? Which I looked up. I didn't just know this. It's a Jamaican slang for go along or come along, and I'm pretty sure it's just because of someone heard somebody say it so many times, blended together and incorrectly. That's what they heard. I think it's a great start to the album. I gave it a 9.5. But I'm also a huge fan of the entire album. But I thought that it sets the tone and sums up what you're about to hear very well. It is getting the most airplay, which I guess it should, because it's the single, quote single, from the album on radio, on the streaming services or Radio Artifact, where I've found this band and stuff, and I think it's done a great job. I do need help though. Is there an accordion in there, or is it an organ? There's a sound I couldn't identify that I loved, and I knew it wasn't usual, and it made me like the song more because I was like, oh, there's an instrument they snuck in there that I'm not positive of.
I don't know. I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, I didn't.
Well, I definitely looked at you thinking
I?
you would be able to tell me that.
I have one of those on way later in this album.
Okay.
I still have no idea what it is.
Well,
but
9.5. Go ahead.
I give this song a 7 out of 10.
I give this one an 8.5.
I gave this a 6.5. I can be an asshole. Yeah. Look, this set a precedent in my brain that I found out very quickly it was not going to go this way. A little more kind of reggae type beat is what I was expecting, which then comes with certain bass, and then guitar, and then steel drum expectations. To which the bass did not follow at all. It was very root note oriented in this song. It had almost no counter melody. And that left me a little disappointed because it left a steel drum melody just at the forefront and almost nothing to counter it.
There's electric guitar in later to counter it a little bit. Not the whole time. But
I'm talking like the whole song.
It's stylistically correct for like soca calypso, which is what this track really is. I think, at least. Also, you have a fan chat. Zach asked if you were in on the chat.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not. I can't do both, Zach. I can't do both things. I don't even know where my phone's at. And I get exactly what you just said, but like going further into the album, I was gonna also make the observation that I don't know that just because there's steel drums here that we're necessarily listening to specifically like reggae or calypso music. I think a lot of the lyrics, and not this song is supposed to be that, but when you get further into it, you hear so many different influences that the steel drums are a fun little thing that's going on, and if we were all at a tiki bar listening to it, it would be fun. But I don't know that that's like 100. Like I don't think that they're dedicated to that when they write the songs. And when we get further, I want to explain more of that.
I agree so wholeheartedly. You don't understand.
He was talking to me about it earlier.
I wanted more of what I call the engine. That's what I missed in this track. I think I loved the energy. I loved the way it pushed. I'm always going to love soca and calypso. You know, I come from a steel band background, doing that kind of stuff in college, which is funny. The percussionist in this band went to the same school I did. I think we missed each other when we were there, but I've met him before in passing. But I absolutely love steel pan music. I love everything that comes with it. You know, and this is real pan. This is not like MIDI tracks. You know, I can hear the way it slightly bends out of tune and all that stuff. It's authentic, so it automatically gets a pretty high score because of that. Just I was excited.
Yeah, the other thing I had, the electric guitar is a tiny bit out of genre. I liked it, but I don't think it 100,000% goes here. And also, the steel drum was turned up a little bit loud on this track. It's mixed better like on almost every other song, but for this one, for some reason, it was way louder than everything.
It's a very piercing instrument.
Yeah, in this track, the whole volume was down a little bit on the whole track, which was weird. It didn't have that problem the rest of the album. It like caught up after this one, but it was really weird because I wrote that note down and then rechecked later, and it was fine.
Yeah,
so
and I was gonna ask if there was like a weird thing with recording steel drum, because I don't even, other than throwing a mic in it, I have no idea how you would even do that.
It's an interesting one because you want something in the room because it doesn't really bloom, but you've got to get something like in the actual bowl, and you have to be careful of where you mic it because you'll pick up certain overtones more than others. Because the whole thing's ringing, and depending on the pan pattern and all sorts of stuff, that's part of the sound. Because you can actually, depending on the pattern and the way the notes lie, they will ring different. It changes the overtone series in the drum. So depending on where you point the mic, it does a similar thing.
Okay. But also, in defense of the steel drum being loud, that is kind of the showcase of this song, so I get it.
It's kind of the showcase of the album, to be honest.
I think that's word for word what I
It's
have
the
written.
starting gate. It's the starting gate, and it does a great job of setting. Like, if you don't like a song, probably don't listen to the rest of the album because it's not going to change much.
I don't know. There's a couple points where it changes pretty heavily.
Yeah. I will say, although my scores to this album may seem low, I really do want to see this band because I bet live all my scores go up. The feel of this live is what I want. This is not something I would almost ever listen to just like to sit down to specifically listen to. It's always something I would consider a background thing. And this is exactly what I want at a bar. So I'm going to find out when the next show is and be there.
I've been looking every day.
Yeah, if you guys decide you want some more soca, calypso, or just steel band stuff, I lean the jazzier side, but if you want some of that, leave a comment. I'll give you some recommendations. not hard. It's not easy stuff to find. So
Can you just tell me after the show? Or
yeah,
do I have to leave it?
no.
Yeah, you actually have to engage with the live.
Socially.
All right, we ready to move on?
Think so?
Okay, the second song is Mantra. I gave it a 9. I think it's probably commercially more of a single than the first one, although I like the other song better. I don't think it changes a ton, except for maybe they put more into writing it more serious. This is our mantra. And the chorus, the repetitiveness of the chorus is very commercial oriented, which is fine. And this, I was so excited to what you said about I can't wait to see them out, because this is a band who doesn't expect to be on the Ryan Seacrest top, whatever Casey Kasem's thing is now. They don't expect to be there. They write these songs because they have to play them in bars, and they have to look at. And some days when you're playing in bars, you're looking at 6 people, and some days you're looking at 1,000 people. It just depends on what your tour is. And when these guys set up this tour, they have to write these songs. What's gonna go over when I play out? And it complements the first song. It supports what the album's about. It's got a stronger subject title because it's their mantra, but it's still lighthearted calypso music, and it's got a catchy chorus that even if it's the first time you ever saw them, if you're in that bar and you've had a couple of pina coladas, you're singing along by the end of it because they wrote it for that, and it works for what it is.
Yeah.
So,
Gave this song a 6.5 out of 10.
yeah, I give it a 7.
I gave it a 6. Sorry, that was just hilarious. This is like uplifting love and touch.
I will say, most of the reason it got a lower score is because of the effects. There is so much stereo effect on this song. It's not even funny. And I didn't think it was that bad. I was like, oh, it's just the intro. And then I had to take one headphone off for a second. And when I went back, I was like disoriented by how much there was going on in both sides. It was insane.
Yeah, it suffered the thing that I don't like where it slows down. I'm never happy when the album slows down, and this just happened because we got a really upbeat start, and then this slowed down.
well, it gets way worse.
Yeah, well, I think this one suffered the most because it reminded me the most of like modern country music, and that's not my thing.
I have it written down that this is like the shell of a Lumineers song. It's like a folk song in disguise.
You want to talk about another band that you cannot get me to listen to? That's another one. So
Yeah. To be completely honest, there was like a slide guitar in there, and it threw me for a loop. I got so confused, and it makes sense because these are bar songs.
but that's like slide guitar was originally Hawaiian.
Yeah,
they're hopping islands, but
it's that. But it was so Nashville clean produced through this that it just felt not like it came from this song. I know it was there; it was recorded for all this. It just felt very out of place with, I guess, the showcase of the steel drum. Being the most thing.
I'd be interested to know how this was recorded because I think it was recorded in parts, and they pieced it together in post. But from what I could find, it was recorded in Cincinnati. So, neat enough. Yeah.
They have pictures of a studio. No, know if it's the one they recorded this album on, but on their like social medias.
Yeah, it seems like it's a cool local guy. He runs a carpentry business in the studio. So, I'm always doing some digging when I'm listening to these.
You didn't find his house, did you?
No, I didn't find the other guy's house. I
Don't
just
make
found
it
his
creepy,
hometown.
man. Don't make it creepy.
Yeah, no. You have to put your business address online if you're a business. That's just normal things. Like, I'm not looking for people. So that's left over from last week.
Mhm.
You ready for track 3?
Are we moving on?
I believe we are.
Okay. The third song was Walk It. This is my 10. This is typical of like if you go back in album history, you build up to it. This song is what they should probably close with in the show to keep everybody, or at least right before their encore, whatever that would be. But this is the I think it's the best song on the album because it increases the pace a little bit. It complements the album. it complements the first two songs on the album. It has a guitar solo, which I thought was cool because I hadn't heard that just yet. It has I think it has the highest potential for commercial success. And when I say commercial success, I'm not just talking about, oh, you'll be driving down the road and hear it on the radio. I could be like a guy who is making a local movie or making a movie locally, because Cincinnati thinks they're so great about bringing Hollywood in and filming stuff. And this is a great background song for a scene in a bar. This is a great song for a Pixar movie trailer. You know, I mean, I think this could be used in so many ways commercially, not just a good song. It's a fun song to listen to. I mean, it's upbeat and everything. But I think it has a lot of, there's a lot of things you could do with it. Mm-hmm. And you may not be using the whole song, obviously, in the context I'm talking about. But I think it has the highest potential for commercial success on the whole album.
Gave this song a 7.5 out of 10.
I gave this one an 8.
Give this one a 7.
So this one was kind of weird. The actual chorus part ripped straight out of a Lime Cordial song. I loved it. But the vocal cadence in the intro and the parts in between, I guess the chorus, were a little, I didn't love them. But yeah, they brought the guitar back, and this song was familiar because especially on this podcast, we've already done reviews of songs that sound a lot like this, or at least parts of this.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, there was a couple I won't say cardinal sins, but a couple things I don't love, and I don't know if the drums were actually Roland V drums or electronic or not, but there was a couple points where they stuck out that I was like, oh, those aren't real drums. So I don't know if it was they were recorded that way or I heard it. That's always a downer for me. I'd rather hear the real thing.
Because you're a drum snob.
Because I'm a drum snob.
I gotcha.
Yep. I did love the guitar solo and the pan solo. Great jam in the chorus. The only thing I'll say is that he got a little carried away with the accent.
That was a lot of what I had.
And I it is what it is. When you listen to the music, sometimes it comes out accidentally. You just have to be careful a little bit when it's inauthentic. That's all I'll put. All I'll say about it.
I masked that note with I didn't love the cadence in the beginning.
yeah, and I don't mean to be mean. Sometimes it just comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Some people end up singing with a British accent. It's like it stuck out a little bit on this one.
I will say I think this whole album falls victim to it that all these songs are better played by feel, not by click track. And when you have to record a song that's best played by feel to a click track, it almost always is lacking something.
There's a few of these that definitely weren't recorded to a click.
That's true.
Yeah.
But there's some parts where it is, and you can tell. In the guitar part in this one, at some points, there was just something missing in the feel. As okay, clearly you should be able to do your own thing and do more accents and weird offbeat stuff with other people.
It has to do with the process too, because I think from what I read, it's pretty much one guy's band. It's pretty much the singer plays pan and also plays guitar, and I don't know if he does the solos or just plays rhythm, but it definitely was not recorded at the same time. And there's something about playing live with a band that you get that energy, and when you put it together, and then when you separate everything in the recording process, sometimes it doesn't work exactly like you need it to, especially in groove-based music like this. So that's actually a really good note.
Yeah. And this was just the song that I really noticed it on. It was all right, clearly live with everybody playing together. There's just, you can feel when it's going to be good. And that just something is missing from that. And I think it is the whole band playing together.
And that's something that's really hard to do, because if you try to get the whole band playing or you try to bring musicians in and do all that stuff, you can't get any of the isolation. So you're going to end up with this really... It just kind of is what it is when you're done. You don't have a lot of control over the finale of the mix. Mm-hmm. If the band's great, that's awesome. There's a lot of great bands that can pull it off. But a lot of studio engineers won't do it because it's such a gamble. So, and especially this being what's a little lower budget, I'm sure it didn't make sense.
Think we're good?
I feel like he got to go, but
Yeah, that was all I had really.
But by the time we get all the way around, sometimes we just run out of notes.
Pretty much is
gotcha.
like it's like we all kind of hit the big things. I just capped it off there.
Well, we're only on 4, so.
We're doing pretty good on time.
Yeah.
Step Inside. 6.5. This is the one where, as much as I think the first 3, they all complement each other. They all belong here with the flow. This was where we went from calypso fun, tiki bar fun, to we're going to
Disney
try
villain.
to be a Jamaican reggae band. And I don't feel like it worked as well as I'm sure they hoped. And they did it. I am happy that they did it without any kind of political meaning like reggae could become, but it just really interferes with the pace of the album. I don't know if it belongs on the album at all, but it does not belong here. I don't think it's a terrible song, but it really, like, if you're listening to it in succession, like, we're not scrambling or one straight through, it seems like the album's starting to take a little bit of a nosedive.
Yeah.
I don't know if I fully agree with that. I gave the song a 7.5.
Oh, weird. I also gave this song a 7.5.
See, I do fully agree. I gave this a 3 out of 10.
Oh my god. You more than agree.
All right, Logan, go ahead.
Well, let's see.
Jump in here.
First of all, I feel like I would hear this in an Olive Garden, not anywhere remotely related to reggae. Call me out on it if I'm crazy. It reminded me of We Don't Talk About Bruno. The progression was very similar.
See, I feel like
And it was
Bruno's
just like
better.
Oh, I agree. But it was just like that very similar progression. And then I was like, this really just feels like a Disney villain song. And I couldn't get it out of my head
Yeah, I see that.
that it was like the villain song from Ratatouille that got cut. Other
Sorry.
than that, I think it's a great song, just not on this album. It's a fun song. But in the context of what we've just had, no.
I'm just imagining a guy like sitting there with a Hawaiian shirt playing steel pan in an Olive Garden and people like trying to order Mai Tais and then telling them to get out. Like, sorry, that just painted a really funny image in my brain.
Well, one of your guys' like ratings is pacing, and that's what made me come back. I came back to the song. I was like, this is not good for the pacing of this, because we got a little stronger finish than we do here in the middle, and this really did slow it down for me.
It's really funny because I think that about Mantra. Or
Yep.
whatever the second song. I think that
That was the whole note
Mantra.
for Mantra. Yeah.
I feel
It-
like
it's-
the repetitive chorus saves Mantra in that respect.
I
I'm not
think
saying you have to like it, but
with this album, what it did is it switched up enough in like the front half that when the second half was all the same song over and over again, that kind of was what hurt it for me.
Wow. Speaking of Step Inside, I loved the tone of the pan and the percussion, and the steel drum solo was awesome. This one just had some vocal processing
Which
I
one?
wasn't crazy about.
this one, Step Inside.
No, which solo?
Oh.
Because there were 2 in this song and it did not need to be.
Did the steel pan remind you of Mario? Because that's what it
Man.
reminded me of.
I'm gonna have to get you guys some like traditional steel drum music so you guys can just enjoy the shred that is like, because traditionally steel pan in Trinidad is all about this show off thing. It's like 80s guitar but to the nth degree.
I'm not going to say that if we saw this live, 2 solos in this song wouldn't work. I'm talking about the recording.
But it's funny because like this reminds me almost of Take It Back to Night Ranger and how many guitar solos were in that album, and those were the saving grace parts of that album
That's
for most
what
of
Night
us.
Ranger does.
And
their
that's-
thing, and this is a steel drum band.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. See, Chad gets it.
I really wish I could sit here and tell you that there wasn't any song on that Night Ranger album that didn't have 2 guitar solos almost back to back, but
That's just
but
the
it
80s
the
thing.
scores
If
suffered
you
there
count
too.
how
so.
those songs start, there's 3. The
That's
intro is
true.
somewhat of a solo every time. It's Night Ranger.
But yeah, this song did kind of a couple of interesting things that I didn't see anywhere else on this album. There's some weird like stereo panning reverb that if it was any louder would have been a negative and taken off multiple points, but it was just the right volume that I liked it. And the steel drum kind of was put to the back in this song. It was almost an accent part for most of it, and I think that did good on this song. What else? I thought I had something else. It's not like the craziest, most complicated bass tone, but I liked it on this. It was simple and solid. I really liked it. And then, I think that's all I got. Tapping out.
Great, we're ready for 5. Yep.
Typical Beach Day. The next song is called Typical Beach Day. I gave it a 6, a generous 6. I don't, and only because I hope it was written in the irony of the title. It's not a fun song. I didn't understand the lyrics. I ended up listening to the song I liked the most, trying to figure out why I didn't get it. And I really like this album. I listened to it. I was preparing for this show all week. I listened to it, and I've been listening to it for almost a month because I told him I wanted to do it. And I can't get through it and make myself like it more. It's somber, and it's called Typical Beach Day. Your typical beach day should be a happy place, not a somber. I don't know. And you guys are going to address the musicianship. I didn't even get that far. I was like, this doesn't
It's
fit.
all mine's about.
And then let's go back to the pacing of the album. Don't make me sad on this album. Don't make me try to think about something on this album. This one bothered me the most, even more so than Step Inside, because I think Step Inside was thoughtfully written lyrics-wise. This one, I don't get it. It could just be me, but this one is, and lucky for me, there's multiple more songs to talk about because we're definitely going to start going back up that hill. But this one is by far the low point for me.
I mean, I agree it is a low point. I gave it a 6, but I'm going to drop it to a 5.5 because I kept reading my first note again.
I give the song a 7 3/4.
Oh my goodness.
I give it a 6.
I have a huge problem with how this song starts. The very first line is, "This is not a typical beach day." Yes, it is. I clicked on the song. I know which song it is. Don't lie to me.
Sorry, that's a really funny note.
Your literalness.
No, I'm not going to click on the song.
point.
I'm not going to click on the song, and the first thing I hear is, you're wrong. This is not that song.
They're gaslighting you.
Yeah, I'm not going to be gaslit on this album. But yeah, this one, to me, was background music. If it was on in the background, I'm okay with it, but if I'm actually paying attention to it,
I don't know, man. I think I just love Jimmy Buffett, and I got Jimmy Buffett vibes here. I think that's what happened. I got the laid back jam. I kind of liked the song structure. I don't know. I never get lyrics the first time, so if the lyrics are confusing, I get it. But
I can talk to you for an hour, and then you'll say something that I just doesn't fit in.
oh,
You love Jimmy Buffett.
I know it's such a weird. It's there's
Is your favorite song Volcano?
It is Volcano. Yeah, there's literally no consistency to any of it. There really isn't.
I'm learning.
Yeah. My I think my parents are parrot heads. I think that's what the answer is.
That's how it always goes.
Yeah.
I don't know. This was like a 1950s doo-wop style progression, which is always fun. It gives you that instant nostalgic feel, so it hits close to home, which I think fits with the title of Typical Beach Day. I mean, what was going on back then other than surf rock and doo-wop? So it's just how they went to go. I do think the steel drum should have been like a lot bigger of a focus on this song than the slide guitar. I think the steel drum should ultimately be the permanent focus going forward, with this slide guitar only being an accent thing, because the steel drums are really good.
Neat fact. I actually not know what a beach day is. Not that because I've never been to the beach. I just can't stay out there. I burn
Oh,
way
yeah,
too easy,
you're-
so.
You would be in big trouble.
Yeah, I turn into a lobster in like 20 minutes. It's pretty bad. So maybe that's it. Maybe I just don't get it.
I hate the beach though. Sand sucks. Water sucks. Teenagers suck. Everything's awful about the beach.
Wow. All there are two sides to these couches.
Yeah, we're getting the glum
Like,
couch. over
go
here
there
today.
right now.
I would much
I would
rather
go there right
be-
now and do this podcast on the beach.
I would much rather be in like the mountains in a cabin, hauled up by the fire.
We've done that too, but the beach is still better. They don't have calypso songs about the mountains.
It's true.
That's very
Just
true.
gay cowboys.
So that's a yep. Big digression there. All right, we ready for track 6? I think.
Track 6, Tom Waits. There's a thing about Cincinnati bands that do tributes to Tom Waits, and they should. Actually, every city band should do tributes to Tom Waits. Legend, eccentric, hermit of music that's been around for 75 years and had less commercial success than the people who've covered him and the people who have tributed to him. Yet he's just this weird icon that everyone seems to love. I gave it an 8 out of 10. A local band called Over the Rhine has also a similar tribute. It's a little better than this one. It's not calypso based. Called Don't Wait for Tom. I thought that I'm getting into you guys' area here. I thought that they blended the musicianship. I don't know how you guys are gonna phrase it, but it all like came together really loud and hard and fun for this song. I don't know if they did a good job, you guys do, but I thought it sat like, because I was like, oh my God, they're gonna do this. And it's a song about how he wishes he was as good of a songwriter, and he wishes. Yeah, it was fun. It really started bringing us back up the hill after those last two songs. We started out strong. There was a little dip, and this one starts to save it. I really liked it. That's it. I was just really, really excited about that song because it started to get the album back on track.
I gave this song a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I give it a 7.5.
Give it a 5. I'll get this out of the way.
A 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was this was a very, very, like, you've heard it before progression. It was just one of those ones where I just fell into the background, enjoyed all of the energy and everything that was going on, but its main purpose felt like it was to be played. So that's what happened.
Yeah, I like the electric guitar, and the vocals sound more like a band I like called Corey Hotline than Jimmy Buffett on this one.
I'm gonna get ripped for that
I
for
feel
the
like
rest
that
of
was
my
a
life.
shot. And
Yeah.
it's
It was not a shot.
unnecessary. He's allowed to
No.
say that.
No, it's fine. I'll get ripped about
It like bounces between those two voices, but I think the first song sounds the most like Jimmy Buffett, and this song sounds the most like Corey Hotline. That's just why this note was brought up. No shots.
I think that going back to the thing I said about Over the Rhine is I don't feel like with the Silver Stars and anybody, I don't feel like local bands get enough credit and enough people are in the public are familiar with listening to. I listen to Artifact Radio. I listen to Inhaler Radio. One of the best things around right now is The Current out of Minnesota. Jill Riley and Lil in the Morning do a great job of mixing pop music with stuff you would literally never hear anywhere else. And if it wasn't for places like that on the internet now, or the HD radio, you're not going to find them on the regular radio. And it goes back to when 97X was coming out of Oxford, which I know you guys don't remember that, but I hope you've heard of it because it's a huge deal. And to this day, Matt Sledge is still playing music on Inhaler Radio, and he was a DJ at 97X. And he's a guy you can literally contact on social media and say, where can I find new music? Where can I find local music? He will respond to you and has to me. And it's just not, that's why I know to pick this album this week, is because of that medium. But unfortunately, you have to do a little work yourself to find shit like this.
Funny note, I turned this on at work earlier, and somebody in the store was like, oh, I know that band. But he also plays in local bands. So
Yeah, but it's like...
yeah, so, it all tracks. He was like, wait, is that who I think it is? And then he was like, oh, yeah, it is. So I just thought that was really cool. I mean, we do have a local scene here, and it's growing, and it seems like everyone is at least aware of each other. So that was a cool little note.
I just wish it was bigger.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they post that they're playing out, we're going.
Heck yeah.
Sounds good.
It's like he said, this is the band you want to see live.
I think we say that almost every week, but this is definitely one we would want to go and hang out at the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like we try to. If we interview a band or review a band, we at least try. If they're in the area, we'll probably go.
Yep.
Pretty much, if your tickets aren't outrageously
Yeah.
expensive and you're within driving distance, we'll be there.
You ready?
Think so?
Number 7, Bang the Drum. I have, off the high of the last song, we're moving on up. I gave this a 7.5. It's nowhere near my favorite song on the album, but I thought it was well written. It's the obligatory innuendo sex song. Prince would love that they even put this on the album. It's perfect for, he's taking his girl home. I don't think it's deep. I don't think there's a lot that went into it. It's a fun song, and I'll go back to what we were just talking about. I bet when we go see him live, it's gonna crush.
Gave this song an 8 out of 10.
It's got a 9.
Give it a 6.5, and I'm going to hit it real quick. That's what she said times 2 to things that Chad said. Connor, you'll find them in the edit.
What?
The things that he
Oh,
said
yeah.
there, that's what she
That's-
says.
I can go. The biggest note here is that it was finally reggae, and that's kind of what I was expecting when I got started. And I was excited to hear the Soca and Calypso, but I was really ready for it this time. We had horns, we had the killer bass line, the steel drums sounded awesome, the guitar parts had an awesome chorus. I was all for it this track.
Oh, did I not write which song this was?
It's your favorite one.
Not this one. No. There's a note I have that I need to find. Okay, it was this one. Great. I'm very excited to bring this note. So first off, trumpets. That's points.
Horns.
Carson's
yes.
not here to back that up, but he would. This one sounds like one of the songs off of the Ezra Collective album we reviewed. It's one of the lower middle songs on that.
I could see that.
Oh no, it sounds like a specific one.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
but it kind of fits into that.
Mm.
As Logan can attest, I just love to make things reggae that don't need to be.
I will.
We've done that a few times.
Never gonna hurt on. Never gonna hurt anything by doing that.
Yep.
One slight negative. I think whoever was playing the Vibra Slap, it sounded like he was the younger brother of the guy in the band who just ran up and hit it, and then they took it out of his hands real quick. They should have let it go on for one extra beat. It seems like they cut him off, except for
That is a very specific criticism.
they
You
did
don't-
it 4 times
Like
in a
you
row,
were
and then they
there.
let
Are you
one.
the little brother?
Yeah,
Why do you know
it was
that?
me. But no, he hit it, and then it would cut off. They shortened it too much, a beat too short, and then the third time they let it ring out for an extra beat, which was fine. But
Okay, sorry, Logan. I really have to make a note here. Playing Vibra Slap is way harder than you think it is for absolutely no reason.
no,
Yeah.
it's like they cut it off in the edit of the song. It didn't.
So I have a music degree and I was a percussion major. Okay, so I'll start there, but I will say when you do that, you learn a lot of crazy instruments. And I will never forget a 30-minute conversation with my professor on how you hold the Vibra Slap and what is the best way to get sustain out of the thing. And we tried for 30 minutes to figure out the best way to play this thing and never came to a conclusive answer. So, neat fact.
But my issue is they have a take where they did it right. They could have just moved that take over. And
Oh yeah, no,
done
I'm not saying it's not valid. I'm just saying a viper slap is a
And,
weird instrument.
The
Are we
other,
still on Bang the Drum?
yeah.
Okay, continue.
So the outro is a little long, but I don't care because I like the song. But there is a weird instrument that I cannot identify, and I had to leave the live so I could play this YouTube video of what I think this instrument sounds like. It sounds like this. Oh,
This ad?
there's an ad.
No.
So this is from the game My Singing Monsters.
Can we get a Saturday Night Live skit where someone yells more vibro slap instead of cowbell?
It would just be Crazy Train.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like this in the background. If it'll do it.
Thanks for that.
Everyone,
really wish you would have just done that.
everyone who's
yourself.
wearing headphones is dead.
So much more fun if
Sorry-
you would have
sorry
just
about
tried to do that
But
yourself.
it sounded like that in the background of this song. And I have no clue what
That is
instrument.
not a
that is.
compliment.
Oh, I'm on the wrong camera.
Sorry, I think we've lost the plot more tonight than any other night.
I just did a whole video about how you're trying to stay away from that.
Yeah, we have a
Here
whole,
we are.
a whole video series dedicated to it. You can check that out now. But I will say the only comment not made is just that with this being an innuendo song, it drags on a little long. Like, you get sick of it 30 seconds before it ends. I was just ready for it to end and move on. Get back to the super happy, fun tiki bar.
But I bet in the club. At the tiki bar.
Yeah.
It probably, the 30 seconds ain't going to bother you.
No, gosh, no.
Number 8. Down the Road. I gave Down the Road an 8.5. And I listened to this song a lot in the last 3 days. And every time I listened to it, it went higher and higher. I started out kind of mid, not horrible, 7 or something, but I just liked it and liked it and liked it. And I remember earlier I said the one had a high potential for commercial success. This one, I think I agree with that, but also I think if you take the music out, you could take the lyrics and apply this song to 7 different genres of music, and it works. And it reminds me of Rusted Root, Tom Cochran's Life is a Highway. I mean, it's a movie song. You could plug it in and use it somewhere commercially.
Okay, so
What you got?
I wasn't gonna say it, but "Send Me on My Way" by Rusted Root and this song are the same tempo and the same key, and they're almost the same part.
Is that why I thought that?
Yeah, it's almost exact.
Well,
I checked it earlier.
It worked then, because that's
Yep.
exactly that. It was right where I went, and
Yep.
I thought these guys, and I didn't find their addresses or their social security numbers like you did, but I looked into them a little bit, and I was like, they're almost my age and stuff. They probably were in some of the same bars in the 90s if they're from around here or whatever. And I was like, this is the alternative pop sound is probably what they came up with. And that influence is strong, but it's also a really good song. It fits the album perfectly, so I liked it a lot.
6 out of 10. I will take this.
All right, I give this one an 8.25.
Give this a 5.5.
Okay, go ahead, Logan, and then I'll defend.
I do agree that this is meant for commercial success, and that is a drug commercial. If you take the lyrics out of this, this is just an ad where they're going to tell you all the side effects to some drug. It's a very good song, but I can't get past the fact that this is meant for insurance.
Youch. Okay, before... I didn't write down the Rusted Root thing, but it is really easy to make a song that sounds like another song and not mean to. So I didn't mean for that to be a criticism. That's not a criticism at all. I thought it was cool, actually. I liked that this was upbeat, and I liked the cool bass part. It has a lot of, like, swoops and, I guess, ramps up and down the bass. And I paused it for a second to try and figure out if it was a fretless or not, and then my ADHD kicked in, so I didn't dig that much further. But there's a really cool bass part on this one.
I would like to say something to Logan. No, I would. My initial reaction was to be very mean and be grumpy. I feel exactly the way you do about other things, and I'm gonna explain why. When I was growing up, great classic rock, literally the Beatles, like it was what they were using to make commercials. Mm-hmm. And even when they didn't mean to, or they meant to, but they didn't go word for word or bar for bar, but that's what that music sounded like to me when I got older, because I remember when I was little on TV, that's what commercials sounded like. Mm-hmm. So you didn't like the Beach Boys, you went against that because the music from the 50s and the early 60s was the commercial rock. And I feel like that's what you just said about that song.
Pretty much. It's just the era change.
You actually missed it. Rusted Roots, Send Me On My Way was used in a Nature Valley granola bar commercial. It's very famous for that.
Well, I thought it was more famous for the
Ice Age, the movie?
The movie.
Yeah,
the Ice Age movie.
Yeah, most people remember it from Ice Age, but it was also in a Nature Valley granola bar commercial.
And they're like they're more like a jam band, like a what's the one that kind of followed after the Grateful Dead?
Allman Brothers? No.
No.
I know what you're talking.
They have
Fish,
a very hard. They have a name that sounds like they should be like thrash metal, but they're not. But there's a band that plays out and they go out and do these festivals and stuff. And Rusted Roots like them. They go out and they start playing, and you don't know when one song ends and another song begins, and that's how they are.
I always remember it from it's in a classic movie, Matilda.
Yeah,
it's in Matilda in a scene, and then I've always known the song from that.
But it's a great song. It's just once you achieve a certain level of commercial success, that's what you associate it with.
Yeah.
Neat.
All right, are we going?
Yeah.
Number 9, Save Me. 7, fit the album well. It's not the best. It's at the end of the album, and since we're not accustomed to listening to steel drums every day on all our songs, it's getting a little repetitive. Yep. However, I made a note that I bet this song live is fantastic. I bet they get excited. I bet the crowd gets excited. I bet it's a great song. In that atmosphere.
Gave it a 6.5.
I gave it an 8.
I gave it a 7.
I actually.
Let's hear what Carl has to say.
Okay. Yeah. It's back to being upbeat. This is just my genre. It really is. It's been in my wheelhouse the whole time. We say that a lot, but this is an album that's been really in my wheelhouse.
Your shirt's in my wheelhouse.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. The pan parts were really good on this one too. The solo at the end was very good. Just impressed overall with the musicality, and the fact that you could keep a steel drum in tune. That's something I was going to talk about at some point. Every time you play them, when steel drums are made, the notes are hammered up, and when you play them, you're hitting the note down. So every time you play, you're pushing it slightly out of tune. And the fact that they stayed consistent through this, there's not many pan tuners in the U.S., so impressed. Just the whole thing was cool. I was excited.
Sorry, what do you got?
I just had that I'm pretty sure the bass line on this song is exactly the same as Step Aside.
Well, that would go along with what he said earlier, especially if they were, I'm not accusing anyone of cutting corners, but trying to get something done. Mm-hmm. If they're not recording it all together, then that could be a thing.
Well, soca and calypso are very style driven. So a lot of the parts are very similar. So if the two songs are in the same key, there's a good chance they are the same bass line.
Yeah, but it's the two songs in this album that emphasize the bass part the most are the same bass line is kind of weird to me.
Not if it's really good. Then,
yeah.
If
but
it
also,
works, use it.
My other note was what you said with we're not hearing anything new. This is like the same sound that we've had this whole album. It's fine.
It's repetitive,
good,
but it fits
in
with what they're doing.
Really, I feel like this was the best use of the steel drum yet. I think it just was the perfect use of it. Although the rest of the song sounded like Counting Crows, the steel drum sounded great. I like Counting Crows.
I think I'm laughing because I think you're right.
It's so good though. It's such a weird feel because it doesn't feel like it worked, but it did. And ironically enough, I think this is what saved me from burning out, and it is called Save Me, so maybe that's the whole point. The steel drum just coming through with that, like, it was impressive. Plus, with the bass groove being there, it just, everything was right. I bet this song is a 10 out of 10 live. I bet it goes so hard.
I'm going to throw something else at you, but you got to wait till after the show. I think Counting Crows have a new song in the last 3 to 6 weeks.
Oh, no.
So
That's
don't look it up yet, but you can look it up.
Nice.
I didn't expect that either. Ready?
Ready.
We're going to close the album out. Number 10. It's called Good Night. It is not by no means the best song on the album. However, because I looked at you guys' criteria, I gave this a 9 out of 10 for 2 reasons. 3 reasons. First, it fits the album. Second, it is placed perfectly on the album because it's called Good Night. It's the closer. And the last thing, what I really liked about it, it's less than 3.5 minutes long. It doesn't take something that we've already heard a lot of steel drums, a lot of clips. It doesn't take it and drag it on. It's like, here we go, good night, boom. It's a perfect encore for the album. It by no means do I think it's the best song on the album, but I gave it a 9 out of 10 because of where they put it. It's really well placed and it's fine. It fits perfectly.
You were 100% right. 7 points, and all of them go to pacing.
Yeah. 8.
I gave it a 6. For one reason. This is an encore. This isn't an album end. This is a live end. The last one has a flat cutout, and then like it's a flat full-on end, closed conductor hands, and then this one comes in swinging, which is great when you're yelling encore. But the last one to me has such a, this is, don't get me wrong, a good ender, but the last one has such a solid end to just the song that there's no flow in between the last one and this one.
So interesting. The thing that you didn't like was the thing I did like, is because I felt like it mirrored the energy of the album. Because the album comes out with a bang and then slows down and then comes back up and ramps up. And that's exactly what this song did. And we've had a lot of high-rated songs in this position recently. We've actually had a bunch of albums that have had really good closing tracks. And the theme is that they all kind of recap everything we've already seen. And this song did a good job of it. The only reason it wasn't a 9 or 10 is I just felt like it needed more drums. There wasn't a lot of drums or percussion going on. And that's, in steel drum music, steel pan music, the engine is really the driver of the whole thing. And this didn't have enough of that for me. That was it.
I'll reiterate that it sounds almost like an insult, but the fact that it was a shorter song helped me because it doesn't, and you said about the one before it went on a little too long. A couple of them went on a little too long. This one didn't, and it closed the album, I thought, perfectly for what this album was.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next up is pacing.
Pacing. Overall, I thought that the theme of the album was maintained throughout. I gave it an 8.5, but I probably really should have gave it an 8. Step Inside slows it down, and typical Beach Day hurts it, and it takes the rest of the 3 songs to get it back up. But it does end hard with Good Night, so 8.5 right in there.
Yep. I gave it a 7.5, and it's almost completely because of the turbulence in the first 4 songs. Kind of ping-pongs around a little bit. Then it finds it after that.
Yeah, I gave it an 8. I don't think you can do a world music album perfect. I think if you played steel drum that sounded the same for an hour for anybody, I don't know that they'd enjoy it. Like you have to break it up, and I just don't know if it's don't know if it's possible to get a perfect pacing score out of just the genre.
Yeah, I gave it a 7 for pretty much exactly what Carl just said. It just is really hard to pull off a whole album of it. And then when they changed it up, obviously, I mean, I gave a song a 3 out of 10. I didn't like when they went too far. But that's just me.
We always have our skips.
Mm-hmm.
Other than Somewhere City, have we ever given a 10 for pacing?
Not that I remember.
Maybe 1 or 2.
Like, I'm sure a couple of us have here and there, but there's never been one we've agreed on, but I can't even remember another 10 for pacing.
It's just such a hard thing to pull off, and we've gotten so good at the criteria that at this point, I think Somewhere City ruined us, honestly.
It really did.
I mean, it's like you have to be a concept album, you have to have a perfect ending, it has to tell a story. I mean, there's so many things that have to go right for pacing to be a 10. It's almost impossible at this point for us.
I'm gonna promise you guys, I picked this album 4 or 5 weeks ago, but the last couple of weeks after, what's the British kid's name? British kid. You guys did
Ollie Rudd.
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
love that show, great albums, got it on my phone, but after that, you guys got sad for a while. And I made me double down on this album. I was like, I need to cheer these guys up on this show. So we're doing this album. They're going to pep it up a little bit, and then you guys can bring it back. And it was the slow one. The very Radiohead-ish sounding, just real slow-paced, kind of sad one. I liked it, but, man, it was sad. So I was like, I'm bringing this show up with this one. What do we got next?
Album art.
Next is album art.
Okay, I have no idea how you guys. I've watched every episode, and I have no idea how you guys come up with your
Criteria
opinions
changes
on
every
these.
week.
I'm going to tell
I
you
don't
right
think there
now.
is criteria.
If I look at this album art, and it's got one closed and one open suitcase on it, and the album's called Suitcase, then I'm thinking 10 out of 10. I'm like, whoever was taking this picture or painting or how drew it, they nailed it. I'd said 9.5 out of 10 because I don't know what you guys think a 10 out of 10 would look like. And you're all very critical. So
Yeah,
I feel like I look at it, it says Suitcase, I'm looking at a suitcase, I understand. I don't need it to be complicated.
Yeah, you nailed it with one exception. If I look at this, I have no idea what genre this is.
Yeah.
But
Teenage
it's still got
girl.
an 8 because it says Suitcase. I know exactly at least that part.
They're kind of old-timey suitcases. Though.
Yeah.
They're not new kind like you get at the airport. They're old with the clips
Yeah,
and
it's a
straps.
nice picture for an album art, but I mean I have no idea what genre this is.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to see like a Hawaiian shirt or something like to let me know or like
Really?
Oh, what about a
You
Hawaiian?
would like to see a Hawaiian shirt, would you?
Always.
What about a Hawaiian shirt, but instead of the dogs you have, it's suitcases?
Nope.
It's that
The dogs
pattern
are
as
perfect.
the album
The
art.
dogs with the bandana and a hat are
Well,
perfect.
you can have both shirts.
Yeah, I gave it a 7. It's not that the album art's bad. I don't know. It was just generic for me.
Yeah, I also gave it a 7. The Queen City Silver Stars font is like almost the same as The Fault in Our Stars, or one of those like tween-age girl movies from that era. Which when I went into this, I was like, "Is this going to be like indie? What the hell is this?" I just knew somewhat local, so I didn't know anything.
But you realize that like not everyone's Lou Reed getting Andy Warhol to make
Right.
an album cover for
That's
him,
true.
right?
Yeah.
There's tons of free fonts on Photoshop.
Well,
That's the
goodness.
thing. I think it's just the font choice.
Good lord.
It very much does not let you know. And then Apple Music listed as reggae, which was
Well, all right.
That's
Enticingly
a robot
confusing.
made that decision.
Yeah,
not
that's the
us.
wrong choice.
We've talked about it every week for the last month. Apple Music is terrible at that.
Yeah, we talked about it. They should change the genre to good.
You know, it's funny. Now that I'm thinking about
Carl
it, we've
likes
talked
it,
about
Zai.
it 3 times in the last 7 days because we recorded a video between now and today and the last live.
Right.
Oh, I just meant as in that was the only reference for genre I got was what Apple Music gave me.
Well, so
I mean,
Go
if you don't know, if you're not like deep into the genres that it touches,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably the closest thing they could get.
like in especially like Panorama, the band name is a very steel pan oriented band name. Like it's usually a nickname for the city you're from, and then some sort of mascot. They're named like sports teams in panorama competitions. So like looking back, the name makes sense, and I probably could have guessed it was a steel drum album. But if you're not used to that, you would not have known.
But we don't want you to get all like upset like the other video where you're like, I walk into a record store and I'm looking through this box and it doesn't have the right records, that I should be over here. And
yeah, it's real bad. Well, okay, but like normal people don't look through every used record in a record store like I do when I'm looking for stuff. So I don't know. Sometimes I don't have 3 hours to find what I'm looking for.
okay.
Yep. Music overall.
I went 10 out of 10 because I picked it. And it is, even though I don't love the pacing, it's exactly what it says it is. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. They stay true to what they started with throughout. I think it's probably really hard to put a whole album together, 10s across the board. I've never tried to do it, but I agree with what Logan said earlier. We go see these guys live, we're probably gonna like some of the songs we didn't like because it's gonna fit into their set list, and they're gonna work it live. And this is a band. This isn't like a large, globally commercially successful, Grammy-winning thing. They write to play, not the other way around. So if your whole mindset is what's going to play out, what's going to work in the bar, what's going to work at these venues, I think they did a great job with that. I think they know what their wheelhouse is, and I think they crushed it. So that one, 10 out of 10.
It's hard going right after him. I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's like the rough average of the scores. It's solid. I'll listen to it again, and we'll definitely hear it live. And it's probably gonna be a 9 or a 10 live.
You're gonna hear it on every vacation you ever go on.
100%.
I give it an 8.5. You know, it's a really solid album for what they were going for. You know, it has its faults, but I definitely lean more towards more traditional calypso and soca stuff. So, you know, it was what I was looking for. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah, I gave this a 7. I mean, contrary to a lot of the scores, I bet live this is a 10. That's my whole thing. Is just this is an album that is meant for a stage. It's meant to be played live, and I think this is a great foot in the door for you to want to go see them live, and that's why you should check it out.
It's fun. I think that's what I was looking for. It's a fun album, and that's very important.
I was really just trying to cheer you guys up, so I'm happy you said that. And a 7 from him, that's a 10 for anyone else. So.
All right. That's all we got for this week. Join us next week when we review Our Blood Oath by Just a Mess. This is a... what?
The wild 180 from this week.
Wow.
And this one's Carl's fault.
Yeah. So it's a band out of Chicago.
I wish the Blood Oath the best of luck.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be fine. Yeah. Just traveling musician, ran into him, and then he was like, "Yeah, check out my new EP." I was like, or new album, sorry. And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Cool, that sounds good." And so here we are.
Sweet.
All right. We got anything else?
See you next week.
After that.